Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Monday, the 15th of January. Working through Acts with McShane's reading scheme, today we read chapter 15, and in it we have the following incident. Paul decides that it would be a good idea to revisit all the churches where they had preached the gospel, and he mentions this to Barnabas. And we're told in verse 37, Barnabas wanted to take John, also called Mark, with them, but Paul did not think it wise to take him, because he had deserted them in Pamphylia and had not continued with them in the work. They had such a sharp disagreement that they parted company. And Barnabas took John and Mark and went in one direction. Paul selected Silas and went in a different direction. And as I read that, I thought, what an interesting story. Here we have two great leaders. Barnabas, possibly mentioned early in the book of Acts as a son of encouragement, great Christian leader. Paul, the great apostle that had planted all these churches, written much of the New Testament. These two great, upright, solid Christian leaders disagree over something where there's no right answer. Was it appropriate to take John Mark or not? There's no clear-cut answer. It was an opinion, and they had different opinions. And they stood by their opinions to such an extent that they fell out with one another. And that wasn't the last time that has happened in church history. I think it was the beginning of something that happens quite often. And I was wondering why this was included, other than the fact that these are human beings. They're not perfect. Paul and Barnabas have a disagreement. They couldn't reconcile. And for us to think that we will be able to solve every problem and reconcile every difference and end up going through life or working in the church without enemies, without people standing against you, without problems, is not what Scripture says. Here we have two good people walking away from one another. It didn't break the church. One loses track of what happened with Barnabas, but we know what happened with Saul as he continued with his missionary journeys. God continued to use them. And so I think we need to deal graciously with people where there's differences and recognize there will be divisions, unfortunately. It's human nature. It's what we are as people. And when people have a falling out with us, to also deal graciously with them as well, and not just write them off as unchristian or anything like that. We're human, and we need to live with that fact. And I believe that's why Luke would record this in the scriptures, so that we have that perspective, the very human perspective. God works with fallen, frail, faulty human beings. And for me, that's a great encouragement. Be blessed.